Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys we're going to be doing a deck profile of a deck that I've always had a little bit of a soft spot for and always enjoyed since its initial release, and that is Battling Boxers. Now, Battling Boxers originally made their debut in Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy. Now, for some of you older school players, you may remember that set and say, hey, that was a pretty good set, but I forget what came out of it. Well, if you did forget, it's kind of hard to because of the mark they left on the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Dragon Rulers came out of Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy, as well as things like Dragosack. In addition to that, we had things like Harpies, Spellbook of Judgment, which is broken back then, and yeah, we had that whole format. Bad nightmare dreams. But one of the archetype that came out of that set, which was super cheap because it only had one rare, was Battling Boxers. And that was a deck that, for a lot of players at that time, because you had all these expensive, powerful decks, pretty much people were like, I'll just play Battling Boxers because it's cheap and it's fun. And it actually was not a bad deck. I don't know if it ever got any regional tops, but I know it definitely got some local tops I've heard of back in the day because it was pretty good, well-rounded deck actually for its time. And even nowadays under Master Rule 5, it's really fun to play around with. And I've revisited some of the older, some of tech cards that I've run in the deck in the past. So as I was revisiting this deck, I was trying them out, and they've worked out fairly well, I would say, overall, after revisiting this deck. But enough talking, let's get into the deck profile, guys. So first off, we run our 3 Battling Boxer Switch Hitter. Switch Hitter is pretty much like your Colt Soldier Wolfbark, and one of those type of cards where you pretty much can reborn a Battling Boxer from grave. Preferably, you want to probably bring Glassjaw back, which is pretty good because then you'll get some effects off. Because if you guys don't know what Glassjaw does, when this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can target one Battling Boxer monster in your graveyard except Battling Boxer Glassjaw. Add that target to your hand. So it works well with Switch Hitter because you go Switch Hitter into Glassjaw, and then when you detach for Lead Yoke, you're detaching because of a card effect from my recommended, and then you get the effect off. So yeah, that's why it's very good. It's pretty much your basic bread and butter plays here with Glassjaw and Lead Yoke. So yep, 3 Switch Hitter, and then along with that we run 3 Glassjaw, which you guys should know how that works, like I just explained. When it's sent to graveyard by card effect, you get to use its effect to add a Battling Boxer back from graveyard. So usually you detach Switch Hitter, then you detach Glassjaw, then you can add Switch Hitter back, normal summon Switch Hitter, go for another Lead Yoke or another play of that nature. So that's how that works. So 3 Glassjaw, which is pretty much good. Next up, we run our 3 Battling Boxer Headgear. The best comparison I can make to Headgear, guys, if you're not familiar with this card, is think of Armageddon Knight, a archetypal Armageddon Knight. So usually with Headgear, I've always wanted to send either Counterpunch to the graveyard because you can use Counterpunch, or I want to send Glassjaw to graveyard to set up for a Switch Hitter play. So those are the 2 best ways of doing it. He's also a rank 4, so he'll help you go for your rank 4 plays as well, which is essential to keep in mind. But he's also very useful. One other thing I'll mention about Glassjaw, who is pretty good in the deck, do keep in mind of his 0 defense. That is going to play a factor in some tech cards that we run in the deck in the future. So do keep that in mind as we continue to go down this deck profile. But 3 Headgear, pretty much Headgear is Armageddon Knight. You send in your Battling Boxers to graveyard to set up for plays. Next we have Sparra. Sparra is your special summoner of the deck, one of them actually. If you control a Battling Boxer monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You cannot conduct the battle phase the turn you activate this effect, which does suck. However, there are some things you can do to avoid this. People just say, oh, this is a okay card, but the thing I used to do back in the day, and this is something you have to keep in mind, is you could conduct your normal battle phase, and then in main phase 2, special summon this to go for an Exceed play. So that was one of the ways you could get around from it back in the day. I don't know if they've changed that ruling, but that's what we used to do back in the day. And when I revamped this deck about a year and a half ago, I was told that was still the same thing. So I doubt it's changed, but that's what we used to do back in the day. We would attack and then main phase 2 special summon this out and then continue to do our play from there. So 3 Sparra. Next we run 3 Shadow. Sting like a butterfly. Oh, excuse me. What is it? Sting like a butterfly, hit like a bee. I'm forget it. I'm not good at boxing terminology. Forgive me. But Shadow is very good. If you guys don't know what Shadow does, I'll read it to you very quickly. During your main phase, you can detach one XYZ material from a battling box or XYZ monster you control. And if you do, special summon this card from your hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. So you may say, well, what's that even got to do with the deck? Well, a problem we used to have, and it's still a thing even now in some degrees, is with lead yoke. So with lead yoke, sometimes what would happen is people wouldn't attack lead yoke or do anything against lead yoke, because if they did, he got bigger. Alright? So how do you self-inflict that? What you could do is you could special summon out Shadow, target lead yoke, detach, and then his attack's going to go up. So you're pretty much forcing to do that. So that's why Shadow is very good. Also, the fact that he's a rank 4 is very nice as well. But he's definitely an essential 2-of in the deck, I feel like. Then we run 2 Veil. This is another way to go into rank 4 plays. You take damage, you get to gain your life points back, and special summon him out. So he's kind of, I don't want to say he's a hand trap, but he's kind of like a pseudo hand trap. And along with the 2 Veil guys, we do run 2 Counterpunch. Now, Counterpunch gives you a little bit of attack bonus. It's kind of like an Honest, so to speak. But you can send him to Graveyard as well, so you can use his effect in Grave. So that's very nice with Counterpunch overall. And I like them as a 2-of and 2-of. I used to just run 1 Counterpunch, but from playtesting, I've actually decided to bump it up. And I've really liked it as a 2-of in the deck, and it's been working out pretty well overall. So 2 Veil, 2 Counterpunch. Battling Boxer is pretty good. So the next card we run is 2 Masked Chameleon. Now, I'm going to let you take a second, guys, to think about why would I run Masked Chameleon in this deck. You know, it's a card that is searchable technically if you go into a rank 4 play, like King of the Feral Imps. So you can go into things like King of the Feral Imps, which we run in the extra deck, to search out Masked Chameleon. So it's a searchable target. But the reason why we run it, if you haven't figured it out yet, is because of the card I was talking about earlier, Glassjaw. Glassjaw is usually always going to be in Grave. In some way, shape, or form, he's always going to be in Grave. So what you can do is, instead of going for an Exceed play that turn, you can go for a Synchro play. So you can go Masked Chameleon, normal summon, bring back Glassjaw, alright? Now I'm going to go for a level 8 Synchro play. And there's other Synchros you can run in the extra deck, but the 2 that I'm going to run for are really good is Omega, because you can actually recycle some of your banished stuff, and also Scarrite. There are other level 8s out there you can run, but these are the 2 I decided to run due to space. If you would like to run other ones, maybe you want to run Stardust Dragon, maybe you want to run this and that card, hey, you can do it. But it just gives another element of the deck, which is really nice. And I've always loved this card in this deck. And I took it out originally when Master Rule 4 came out, but now that we are in the new Master Rule 5, it's amazing in the deck, and I like it as a tech option. In addition to this, we run 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs. You got to run some hand traps, okay? You could run Call by the Grave if you're afraid of DD Crows and things of that nature. That is a possibility. You know, having your headgear get ashed does suck. So I've seen people, instead of running Ash Blossom, they'll run Call by the Grave instead. That's perfectly fine. I won't complain about that, and I understand why. I like running it in the side deck because it just depends upon the matchup how good that card is to some degree. But 3 Ash Blossom. Next up, we run 2 Battling Boxer Spirit. Think of this as kind of like a pseudo Monster Reborn for the deck. It does take setup, which is the reason we run it as a 2-of. It's not searchable per se, so that's another reason why. But I do like it as a 2-of in the deck, and it's very, very good overall. So 2 Battling Boxer Spirit. It's kind of like a pseudo Monster Reborn card for your Battling Boxers. Next up, we run some Equips. So these are the ones I decide to run at the end of the day. There's different reasons I run these. You could try different ones out. I will say that. One thing I will mention is with Phoenix Blade. It's something that I have tried out in the deck. I've tried other ones as well. There's different things you could try out in the deck. There really is. You know, I've tried out different ones, but these are the ones that worked out pretty well. Moon Mirror Shield works well. Overdone Barrel has been working pretty well for me overall. I've kind of liked it for the most part, I will say. Some of the other ones I've tried out in the deck is Living Fossil. I like that one too. I want to run a ratio of 5 total because most of the monsters you're going to be searching out are level 4. So if you do draw one, you will still have 4 in the deck to do things with. And I want it because you're sending so many things to graveyard and you're going for so many rank 4s. I want to run things that could reborn and help run over, and then also for some link play shenanigans if you wanted to, which is up to you. So personally, that's the ratio I decided to run with at the end of the day. There are different things you can run though if you wished. For your other cards, we run things like some one-of spells, which we'll talk about here right now. We have Double or Nothing because you run a rank 4 deck. You can go for Utopia Double. You run Monster Reborn because it's Monster Reborn. Rhoda, this is a warrior deck. Foolish to set up in graveyard. And Upstart Goblin for a little bit more draw power. Now there are different cards you could run if you wanted to. Those are options in the deck, and I will say there are some other good options out there if you wish to run those per se. But at the end of the day, I decided to run these because they've been working out for me the best, I would say, overall. And that's up to you to decide how you want to proceed forward with that, I would say, overall. But, yeah, that's what we have for our one-of spells. Onto our traps. I decided to run because effect negation is kind of important in this deck, so I run 3 infinite impermanents. You want to have a way to stop monster effects from going off, especially if they're just trying to spin back your lead yoke, which sucks. Things like Castell can you. And so that's why I decided to run things like infinite impermanents. I don't want that happening. It sucks when it happens. So yeah, 3 infinite impermanents. We also run 2 torrential tributes. This is something, again, it can help you destroy monsters. So if you have lead yoke on the field, you're actually making him stronger and getting rid of your opponent's board. So I really like torrential tribute in the deck as a 2-of. You could run 3 of if you want to, but I like 2 of. It's just another way of running things, and it's a trap. So works out pretty well in the deck. So that's all for the main deck, guys. Let's get on to the extra deck. And the extra deck I'm still working on a little bit, but we'll talk about it. So first off, I run 2 Battling Boxer lead yoke. You could run 3. I, for the longest time, ran 3, and I will say it wasn't until I started playing this deck profile a little bit more that I decided to cut it out for some other cards. But you can run 3 lead yoke if you wish, but for me, I'm running 2 as of right now, but I'm still going back and forth. Instead, I decided to run 2 number 79 Battling Boxer Nova Kaiser. These are your 4 Battling Boxers. Nowadays, I don't find myself going for 3 lead yoke, and I decided to cut 1 out for a second Nova Kaiser. But like I said, that's up to you, player preference. The 1 King of the Feral Imps, because this helps search out your Masked Chameleon. Your other level 4s, Tornado Dragon, Bagasucha, Utopia Double, Exciton Knight. These are just some generic rank 4s we run in the deck that work out pretty well. Next we got for our synchro plays, we got Psychic Omega, and we got Scarlight Dragon Red Archfiend. If you want to run more level 8 synchro monsters, you can. It's up to you, but these are just the 2 main ones I decided to run. For your links, 1 Isolde and 1 Cerberus and 1 Phoenix for space. I just wanted other ways to take care of monsters and spells and traps. So yeah, you could play around with these ratios. If you want to run something else, you're more than welcome to. We also got our field center as well. But if you want to play around with the ratios, guys, of cards in this extra deck, go right ahead. I would definitely highly suggest it and see how you want to run it. But for me, from playtesting recently, this is what's been working out for me, and actually has been doing fairly well, I would say. So I hope you guys all enjoy this deck profile. Like I said, this is a deck that I've always enjoyed playing with for a long period of Yu-Gi-Oh's history, it's been like one of those fun decks I've always had. But I'm so glad that in Master Rule 5, I get to play it at its full capacity, similar to what I used to back in the day. But yeah, guys, till next time, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling. If you loved OG Battling Boxers and you loved the deck, leave a big thumbs up. Until next time, guys, I'll see all of you, and take care, and good luck dueling to all of you. Take care, everybody.